Royce on all, and welcome to the latest episode of the Fearless in Devotion podcast. We have Andy Gilpin, we have Liam Randall, myself, Andrew Pollard. Reese is not with us this week because he is doing some plastering, and Tim is on holiday. Although I'm sure there will be an emergency pod in the week if need be from Tim. But let's get into it. Get into our sponsors, of course, the Fat Boar in Wrexham Mode, the Mice Gwyn Hall, Hill Street Social, Effie's Carnivore, the Buck in Bangor, and of course Howell. Should also add as well that after our usual chat ends, there'll be a recording of Beast Mark Creighton from the latest Fearless in Devotion event where Creighton gave up some time to come and chat to the great Wrexham public about a whole variety of topics. So stick around for that. Another quick plug as well. King Carl Connolly, one of the greatest players to ever wear a Wrexham shirt, turns 55 the day of this recording. And I believe it is Tim's birthday as well today. So we should give Tim a birthday shout out, even though Andy didn't want him. How are we, chaps?
I'm fine. Can I just mention the newsletter?
Here it comes.
Right, it's special offer. You can get it for £15 for the first year. So we've had a good influx of new subscribers. We're close to a milestone. If we get to that milestone, whoever becomes that person will get a special prize.
Lucky second subscriber. They will be.
Hilarious, Liam. But please, it's about 4,000 or 5,000 words of analysis, comment, loads of little fun stuff as well. News tidbits. Please subscribe if you can.
Lovely stuff. Right. First order of business, the Vertu Trophy. Port Vale 1, Wrexham 4. Andy, I'm gonna guess with that face, are you asked about this competition yet? Or are you still in the
I'm getting more asked about it as we go deeper into it. I do quite like the idea of a trip to Wembley to play Birmingham and lose 3-1. That sounds all right, doesn't it? I just don't want it to distract from the league, but the way Parky's doing it by playing the reserve team players, the people who need minutes, he's doing it the right way. Can I ask about Mo Fowl? What did everyone think? He's always the big talking point, isn't he?
He got written off within the first 10 minutes, I think, by some people judging on social media, but actually his goal, I thought he took it really well. I don't know how he made up that. I didn't know he was that fast. The amount of space he made up in a pretty short period of time to get on the end of that was quite impressive. I think if there's one thing I've learned from actually, when you actually get to watch him for a whole match, which, let's be honest, isn't very often, I don't think he's the type of striker that we initially thought he was.
What did you think he was?
Well, I thought he was going to be your sort of rangy number 9 type player,
target man.
Yeah, but he's not, is he? He's much
more.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been hard to judge him because even when he's had cameos, quite a lot of the time, I can remember one where Parky brought him on with about 3 or 4 minutes left, and I thought, well, what's the lad supposed to do in that amount of time? So that's what's good about this competition is we do actually get to see the likes of Mo Fowl, and it's hard to say, if there's something there, but I mean.
There is something. I think, Liam. I think there's definitely something there. It's just if we can harness it, especially as we're trying to go for promotion. One thing I would say about Fowl is, yes, I do think he's more the Mullin sort of player. I don't think he's the target man. I think he's the guy who plays off the target man. And what a great thing to have, a 6'2" Paul Mullin. If you know what I mean. Someone who does something a little bit differently, who does tie up defenders in his own way. I like it. I think he's got something. I really think the lad can, for now, come off the bench and do something different. But there's something to work there with, and he's still very, very young.
I think for me, and I don't know if I mean this as a compliment or the opposite, or a backhanded compliment, there's a little bit of Hector Sam about him in terms of you do not know what you're going to get. There's elements of his game, elements of the game on Tuesday against Port Vale where it's like, have you ever seen the football? There's times where he looks like there's nothing there, and then there are other moments where there is something. And like Liam said, I was watching the goals back again before we start recording, and just the ground he makes up for his goal. I mean, it wasn't. It was a scuffed, scruffy finish, but they all count and it went in. But it's just the ground he covered to get there, and the fact that he lays it off as well. There's something. I just think for him, the fact that it was our record transfer at the time. And you're expecting somebody when they're dropping down a level from West Brom he was for that sort of money, that you want more from him. But the counterpoint of that is that he's not really been given a chance, particularly apart from in these Vertu Trophy games. So And then there's also the fact that he's one for the future. But if our future involves the championship, is he part of that future? I don't exactly.
Yeah. No, you're right there. You're right there. But the thing about people do get caught up on the fact he's our record signing. It's different now. Now, 5 years ago, if a record signing came in, he has to perform. Absolutely has to perform from us from the start. We're not in a position where we need our record signing to do that. We're in a position where we can let a player like Mo Fall breathe a little bit, and we can maybe give him some time to sort of come to the fore, and maybe the Vertu Trophy is exactly what he needs.
Yeah, I think it's what one player. I know we don't want to stick on this topic too much, but in particular the Port Vale game, we were all fearing the worst after that first minute, I'm sure. But I thought obviously Ryan Longman, I thought had a very good game. That was a massive positive. But one person I want to just kind of highlight and point out as well, though, is Harry Ashfield, 18 years of age, local Wrexham boy, coming through the ranks. I believe he was in the system since the age of about 7. Because I had a look today and he was with us since 2015, which to me feels like only a few years ago. Nah, that's a long time ago now. But yeah, I just thought he was not just the fact that it's nice to see a local player scoring a goal, his first goal for the club. Just I thought his performance generally, I thought he was one of the better players on the pitch, and that's certainly something to look forward to in the future, I think.
Yeah, he looked lively, didn't he? I mean, someone mentioned to me, I didn't realise this, but he was on the famous Dom Vose goal video? He's one of the ball boys who was jumping on top of Vose after he scored his goal. So he's clearly, from listening to him speaking after the match as well, you could tell that it actually meant a lot to him to score that goal. So that's always nice to see. I think Tim wasn't happy though because he got the one of our own chant and he thinks he deserves a better one. But no singing on this podcast this week.
How will we ever cope without singing? Right. Now we have got past Port Vale. We've got Bolton, obviously, coming up on Tuesday in the quarterfinals. We'll get to proper predictions with Bolton at the end of the pod. But, I mean, it's already been drawn the semi-finals, so not to look past Bolton because that will be a tough game. And again, we'll discuss it shortly. But the fact that if we get past Bolton, we have then got Peterborough in the semi-finals. On the other side, the draw has landed Birmingham or Bradford as the other Birmingham and Bradford as the other semi-final. So if us and Birmingham win our games, it's nicely, conveniently set up for a Vertu Trophy final of the two biggest teams in the division in terms of at least profile. That's no disrespect to the other teams. Is the fix in there for that? Do you reckon? Too convenient.
They've had the heated balls out, haven't they? They, I don't want to get into innuendo here, but I don't believe in fixing necessarily. But it just sometimes does feel a bit convenient that if, and I'm saying if because we got, like you said, Bolton are a tough test. They just came back from 3-1 down to beat Crawley 4-3 on Saturday. That was a good game. I watched the highlights of that. But if you were to get the showcase final of Wrexham versus Birmingham, it would be, I don't think the organisers would be necessarily unhappy. You'd have a packed out Wembley Stadium potentially, but I'm just saying let's get past Bolton first, not letting myself think. I haven't booked any hotels yet, put it that way. There's 2 games to get through yet.
Yeah, my last trip to Wembley.
3 games?
Yeah, 3 games. My last trip to Wembley got as far as B&Q Roundabout, and I had to dive out of a car and be violently sick. So yeah, hopefully if we did get to Wembley this time, then yeah. Now, if we did, some people who would be in attendance, of course, would be the owners. Now, today, as we're recording this on the 9th of February, is somehow it's 4 years. It's a 4-year anniversary of the ownership being made official. That was 9th of February 2021. So shout out if you're somehow listening to this on Sunday in time, which is highly unlikely, by just knowing the time now. The Turf are giving out a free drink courtesy of the owners to every single person there. I believe the offer was an Aviation Gin, a Four Walls Whiskey, or a Wrexham Lager. A very good choice there. So if you do happen to listen to this in time, get yourself down to the Turf before closing time. But yeah, we've had some. I know in our notes here, the agenda, we got the highs and the lows of the time with the owners. There's not that many lows, is there really? It's been to look where we were 4 years ago to look where we are now. I don't think anybody would have, even the most optimistic, positive person, would dream that we'd be here. We are 3rd in League One.
It's been a bloody roller coaster. Like I saw someone put the Bromley FA Trophy game as one of the lows, and I was like, do you know what? I had I know a lot of people for travel reasons, etc., didn't have a good day, but I had quite a good day out for that. And it wasn't one of those where it's like, oh God, we'll never be in the FA Trophy final to win it again. I just had this, we were on a good roll. We were moving on to good things. So it wasn't like, the North Ferriby one where you just felt like the team, that team was already a bit all over the place. There's not been that. You've had a couple of defeats where it's been heavy, like Stockport, but it wasn't sort of end of the world. Oh Christ, we're going down type of thing. So I think you put the lows in context because the highs have been bloody ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's, as you kind of touched on, Ellie, and there's the lows don't linger as long because there's normally a high around the corner, right around the corner. I mean, that Stockport game, we had our pants pulled down 5-0. Absolutely one of the worst performances I've seen under this regime. But you knew that there was, a bounce back. But it's not even called a bounce back. It's just really just a blip. Those lows. Andy, what about yourself? I mean, there's I suppose the Grimsby game, but again, a playoff semi-final is it's hard to, and especially because it was such a good game. It was a bit. Kicking the nuts out happened, the 5-4 defeat at the end of the 21-22. But yeah, any particular lows for you, or is it just, no, it's all the good times?
Not on the pitch.
Yeah.
Not on the pitch. The lows are the club off the pitch trying to catch up with where it is at the moment. And they haven't done everything right. We talked to Michael Williamson last week. I think a lot of people enjoyed his answers. And I think we know that the club are heading in the right direction, but to take the club from mid-table in non-league to going to the Championship without a training ground, with a three-sided ground, it's tough. And there's been some mistakes along the way. So they're the lows for me. But to be honest, on the pitch, I can't complain. I mean, we're all the same. We've got this inbuilt thing that we're Wrexham fans and we know something's going to go wrong. And for the last 3 years, something hasn't gone wrong. You know what? I was thinking this the other day, and I'm getting my head ahead of myself. I was watching the Swansea Bristol City match this morning, thinking to myself, if we do get to the Championship, wouldn't it be refreshing to go to places and not expect to win and be happy if we got a draw, and not, every match isn't a sort of a real must win, and we haven't won it today, and everyone's annoyed. It would be good to celebrate.
Andy clinging on for misery, or I guess maybe subjective misery.
You know what I mean by that? It would be good not to have that sort of crushing expectation every time you go to somewhere, and if you get a result, like we did in the FA Cup with Coventry, no one expected us. I was expecting us to lose. We get a result. It makes it even sweeter.
I like that. So you're saying you're not looking forward necessarily to the element of, that's a good point, but more when we go there expecting a point or maybe a defeat, and we come away with that. Well, I guess when we're back as being the underdogs, which for Wrexham have not been an underdog for a long time. I'm not going to try and paint that picture. And I like also as well, it probably sums up the mentality of a lot of Wrexham fans of a certain age that this particular segment we started with. So what was the low? Rather than let's talk about all these good times. Liam, to go to you then, what's there are so many highs, but any personal ones for you there's obviously lots of obvious ones, but any personal moments that jump out or I don't know.
Before we go on to that, just to pick up on the cynicism element, I saw Wayne from the Turf had posted something on one of the Facebook fan groups today about the free drinks, and the comments on there just reminded me how cynical we are. Someone on there was going, "Is this a wind up? Is Wayne taking the piss here?" Someone else said, "Oh, I bet it'll be end of the line stock, won't it?" Or something like that. I was like, how bloody cynical are people? Oh, on the high points, I think that Boreham Wood game, it's hard to best. I've reflected on it like loads of times, and it was just such a weird feeling for me at the same time, because I don't know, I was just overcome by emotion, like positive, and also just the weight of everything that had happened to us over those last 15 years. And I think also there was an element of the Wrexham fans that weren't there to see it as well. So it was a really positive day, but emotionally, I just felt so drained after that day. I think almost from a pure enjoyment perspective, the Forest Green final game was almost more enjoyable from the perspective it was sort of weight-free, it was unexpected. So maybe if you're talking from a pure enjoyment one, I would actually say the second promotion, just because I didn't have the weight of the National League and teams fighting us down to the death at 100-odd point title battles. It was just a bit more enjoyable on that front.
Yeah, and also not just vying for one automatic promotion spot.
Yeah.
that was just the bane of existence. I guess for me, it is the promotion comes to mind at the Boreham Wood, and just everybody running on the pitch. Some of the lads around me ran on the pitch, and I just like sat there and had like a moment and a little bit very teary eyed, and just like, oh, just after those 15 years of just so many kind of not to say false dawns, because that's harsh on some of the players and management that were here before, but just not having the resources to just push on at times when we really could have pushed on. But I mean, one moment I would like to say as well, and we'll come to you in a sec, Andy, is the Ben Foster save, the penalty save against Notts County. That is just yeah, I'm getting goosebumps on this. Just mentioning that, just the whole context of it, the time it happened in the match, against who it happened against. The fact that you hear later that the goalkeeper coach Aidan was telling Ben Foster to go the other way on the pen, and he just was like, "Nah, it's all right, lad. I've got this, mate. I've got this." And then for it to come off and the double save almost with the two hands, and afterwards in town, yeah, just that is a moment that is hard to top. Andy, yourself?
Oh, you've hoovered up all the best ones. I would say that the Sheffield United game, the first game, let us really see that we'd arrived. I think a non-league side to go such sorry, can't speak today. A non-league side to go toe-to-toe with a championship promotion favourite, and should have beaten them. I think that's where you really sort of saw the upward sort of trajectory of this club. So yeah, I like that. But for pure emotion, Boreham Wood absolutely drained at the end of it, and it was just 15 years of horror. finally was relieved. Now, I'll be absolutely honest. If we'd have got up under the WST, I probably would have enjoyed it more, just because it would have been a fan's owned achievement. But that's not to say I didn't absolutely love us finally getting out of non-league. And I'd like to thank Ryan and Rob for the ride they've taken us on.
Yeah, it was like it felt like 3, maybe 4 weeks of just celebrations, because I mean, I always tend to take a bit of time off the end of April and beginning of May, so it just tied in nicely with that. My birthday was in there, Focus Wales. It was just this basically a month of just getting pissed and being like, oh my god, we got promoted. It's really like and recording all the programs on like BBC News and stuff, and all and S4C. There was anything that was, just what a time. Now looking forward, we have had more developments on the Cop. I popped into Bank Street Social, shout out to those guys. I spoke to Phil on Friday, and his thing was like, what's your thoughts on the Cop? And I feel again the Wrexham cynicism of like, I'll believe it when I see it, or at least there's like, it's half erected. So it is a 5,500 new capacity Cop that's from Populous. It will include safe standing. The roof apparently is designed to amplify the sound towards the pitch. Wrexham red brick involved. There's going to be the dragon designs on the corner of, I guess you say, the corner of Crispin Lane and Mould Road as well. We've all seen the I guess artist impressions of that. The aim is to be it's a very hard finish line. It's the end point is to be ready for the summer of 2026, so we can host the Euro under-19s games. What do we think about this, Liam? We'll come to yourself as you're in the know in the local rags.
Did you go, Liam?
Yeah.
Did you go to the presentation?
Yeah, there was a presentation on. It was about midday on Monday, so we got invited in. We went up to the. It's now the Betty Buzz Suite, was the aviation gin suite where the owners go. So yeah, Michael Williamson and Rob Faulkner were there. Took us through the images. There was a nice little build-up. They were talking us through sort of the preamble, and I think we were all sat there like, come on, get to the pictures. And then it comes up, and I think it was definitely a design which you sort of think, wow, this is a statement thing. I think where people get caught up in is the sort of a bit higgledy-piggledy. People called it the row of crooked teeth or whatever it was at the top. But my marker for this sort of stand is, I think the real test will be when it's actually constructed. I think until then, you can look at all the high def images and all that, but until you're actually standing in front of it, I think that'll be the real test. And one thing which really stood out from the chat was that this is the full fat version. This isn't the on the cheap Cop. This is the do it once, do it right. And you look at all the facilities that are inside that. I mean, I lost track from just looking through the designs that went on the council website. There's obviously the players, changing facilities will be moved over, media facilities, offices, hospitality, a pub, I think I saw in there, a prayer
Big
room.
pub.
Yeah,
Big pub.
a big pub. Yeah. The club shop. What I like about the club shop element is it's not sort of Man United mega store in your face. It's tucked under a little bit. I mean, it'll be prominent on the corner of Crispin Lane. I think from a retail perspective, people won't be going up to Wayne anymore and going, "Where the hell's the club shop?" So he'll have one less problem on his hands there. But it's also it'll be good for footfall for the club shop as well. So yeah, there was a lot of it was sort of off the record, sort of brief, but we posed questions on the.
Come on, give us a little bit. Give us a little bit off the record.
Basically, a lot of my questions were around the logistics because, as we know, you've got the lease collapse, you've got the things like the substation. There's also land ownership is another. There's still a few bits and bobs which need to be ironed out there. Oh, and also the funding agreement. The funding agreement hadn't been signed yet. But Michael Williamson was very confident on it all, I think would be an understatement. He seemed satisfied that we got all the ducks in a row. I think one thing which was said and is probably not betraying any confidence is that, it could get to the stage where the majority of the stands been built, but not necessarily every functionality is in place by the time of that UEFA tournament. But as long as the seats are in position, and people can get access to the stadium, that'll be they're still obviously going to go ahead with it. So that's one of the main take homes from it. And yeah, like I said, they're not this. I asked questions about sort of the balance of funding, public versus private, and there weren't really. That was avoided a little bit, but my personal impression is that I think we're now more private investment into this new COP than perhaps we are public, because the public funding element was 17 million, if my memory serves me right. Yeah, and I think this is going to come to more than 40 million. So you talk basically the owners are putting their money where their mouth is once again. So I think everyone who was there was pretty impressed by what we saw. Like I say, they're doing it once, doing it right. And also there's the viewing platform. I don't know if anyone noticed right at the top. So there's this bit where they're going to have, basically at the moment, they're just going to leave it so that there's a viewing platform there. But eventually you'll have the extra 2,000 seats as well. So that bolt-on is, he said, we're not taking anything for granted with future planning, because that will take time. They'll have to go through, basically, the time scales for the fresh planning application for the extra 2K will take around 12 months. But that's a really important element of it, that they can just bolt it on essentially to the top of the stand. And I think from the inside is perhaps the most impressive view for me. Don't know what anyone else thinks. No, they hate the inside view.
Boo! I'm Old Road loyal. That's it. I'm Price Griffiths for life.
I'm not moving. Yeah, no. Someone said to me, "Oh, we're going in the cup." I was like, I like to be at the side of the pitch. It's just my preference.
You might need to introduce me to that, mate, unless it's a snout, because I've already met the snout. Because when it was first announced, I think it was this last season where it was announced that if you renew your season ticket, or the season before, where you basically get first dibs on the cop. And straight away, I was in the group chat with the lads. I sit by, like, right, that's it, first dibs on the cop. And they were all like, well, no, we like it where we are in the middle of the pitch in the Mill Row stand. So I don't know. I've got a little while to work on him. But yeah, and also I caught my eye in the press release where it did say about it's been future proofed, I think was the term used, to the stand is being developed with the idea of, yes, we can expand the capacity even further as and when down the line. So very positive news. But again, the cynic in me says, like, I'll believe it when I see it in the flesh. Anything to add on that, Andy, before we move on?
Sorry, I know I can see a little bit distracted, but I am actually working at this, so I have to sort of.
He just hates the new COP.
We're having a COP.
Yeah, did you know?
Can we call it a COP if it goes over 2 levels?
That's a good question.
Good point. Very good point.
I think I have to go over 1. Look. I think it looks amazing and it looks distinctive. It's the first thing you're going to see when you get off the train in Wrexham. It's your entry point into a vibrant new city. It's people are used to the identikit sort of stadium, and when it's not the same, people go, "Oh, I'm not sure about this. This doesn't look like the Stadium of Light or the exact same thing built in Southampton." So I think it will take a bit of time for people to get into it. But if you think about Wembley, it was the Twin Towers, it was a little bit of difference from every other stadium that became iconic. So why can't this brick facade be that?
Yeah, bespoke. That's it, a bespoke stand. I think we'll go with. One very last comment on that whole topic is, if you are listening to this, Mr. McElhenney, Mr. Reynolds, anybody involved with the club, if you do not name this the Joey Jones Cup, then you are missing an open goal there. If
we march.
Get the statue. Yeah, exactly. We marched. We marched over the years for far. I'm not even going to talk about those idiots. But yeah, no, it's give that man his flowers. Get the statue built. We've all been calling out for years, as have so many former players at the club. Speaking of former players at the club, deadline day was a fairly quiet one. That's been and gone. It feels like it was weeks ago, but obviously it's happened since the last episode was recorded. It was a fairly quiet one in terms of the outgoings. James Jones was the big one that happened a few days before that, which was addressed before and touched upon. In terms of ingoings, deadline day was dead for us. We had Sam Smith and Jay Rodriguez coming before that. But the bigger talking point is now, once deadline day is out the way, you get to, you register your squad again. And Luke Bolton and Will Boyle have been, they're not registered. They're unregistered for the rest of the season as it stands right now. Phil Parkinson talk about the injuries to those players. Could we say, Liam, do you think there's a chance that...
Are they injured, or have we not just been able to not shift them out on the way?
Someone pointed out how long it's been since they got injured. Was it a Vertu Trophy game? I can't remember which one along the way that they went out. So it's been quite a while. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I'd heard people talking as if they were trying to sort clubs out for both of them, I think, towards the end of the window. So I don't know. Would Parky do that to us? Would he lie to us?
No,
Charles and Eddie.
But if you can't move these players on, doesn't it save face a little bit if you just say they're injured? It's better than no one wants Luke Bolton.
Who wouldn't want Will Boyle though now with his coif of hair? That is magnificent. I absolutely love it. Props to that man. Maybe that's why he's injured. It's just it's gone to an extent that it's weighing him down, and it's done. I don't know. He's done his knees because of it. But no. Hopefully, if they are injured, hopefully it's nothing too serious. And I'd like to. Parky, I'll take him on his word on this one. But
it's no skin off my nose if they are or not. Look, it's a shame that two good, honest pros can't get near the squad. That's a shame, and it would be nice for both of them to move out. Boyle especially. He's a bit Marmite, but I've always quite liked the fella. Bolton, I just didn't think he had enough time to really show what he could do. But he was bought for a very specific purpose, to give us cover in an area where we needed it. But unfortunately for him, the rise of Ryan Barnett has meant that he was never going to get the minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was brought in basically to be second choice right back or right wing back cover, and now he's essentially fourth, fifth, because obviously Ryan Longman's now in as well. He looks like he might be getting a crack there as and when. Mendy's been there before. Seb Rivan has been there before. So yeah, Luke Bolton unfortunately is way down at the pecking order. Now, whether or not either of those guys get registered again before the end of the season, when they're back from injury, who knows? But could that spot, Andy, you think, be used for a free agent signing between now and then? Because obviously that's something that we've done loads of times in the past, but at the level we're at and the level we're going to, would there be somebody realistically on the free agency market that could add something to us on a push for promotion?
Wasn't someone saying that they might be looking at Jamie Patterson, who'd been in the MLS? I can't remember. I don't know
if it's just one of those sort of speculative, sort of one-on-one. I think the way that Parky does it, you leave the space there so that you can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just for me, it just doesn't necessarily feel like we absolutely must go out and get a free agent at this point, sort of thing. The squad's pretty stacked, isn't it? So I'm not too fussed on what that does. And I think not necessarily for saving face for players, but having two who miss out as opposed to one feels a bit less harsh as well, just from that perspective.
Yeah, I can see what you mean with that one. It's not quite as a news story if it's just the one player that goes. Also, as well, I guess we should mention as well before we move on from transfers and incomes and outgoings, but Anthony Forde as well left the club, which Forde has been 2 seasons here. He was 1.5. Has been really good for us, really effective. Obviously, there was a lot of off the stuff situations with him that hindered his availability at times, but the way you see the documentary and how he handles things, and just what a professional. And Parky was obviously very glowing words for him when he departed. So yeah, just well wishes to Anthony Forde on whatever is next for him, because yeah, always putting a shift whenever he pulled on a Wrexham shirt.
Yeah, that man is. It's getting to that stage now where like almost every departure hits you a tiny bit in the gut, just because of the journey they've been on with us and what they've been part of. I mean, I haven't revisited like the series of the documentary where his story got told, but I just remember at the time how much it really, really hit you in the gut what he went through, and then the goal against Yeovil. It was a strange game, that one. It was just. There was one point where it was just like, oh Christ, we're not going to score here. We really, really need to score. And then Forde pops up with a crucial goal, and was Charlie Day in tears? I think, wasn't he? Or
I think he was just drunk.
Yeah, he could well have been. Yeah,
we can't have beers in front of the actual, where you can see the pitch, but somehow Charlie Day manages it. Yeah,
all credit to him for pulling that off. I've been trying that for years.
Forde, an absolute credit to himself, and credit
handsome fella as well. Whoa. Handsome man.
Yeah. Right. So changing gears from the men's game over to Wrexham Women, who do not have a game this weekend, but they had a very, very big game in the week against TNS. Dirty Octua TNS, dirty TNS, who we beat 1-0. Lily Jones coming up with the magic with the goal, scoring from distance, and also a really cool picture that's doing the rounds of her and the mum Dion, and their good pal Joe Morrison. You love to see stuff like that where it's like just it's stuff like that that's hits home, I think, with Wrexham fans, Wrexham girls playing for Wrexham Women, scoring goals against local rivals and celebrating with the family. It's always a good time. But away from that, I mean, that means that, we have the cup game next weekend, the Butte Energy quarterfinals against Swansea. The game after that, the final game of the regular season, is Swansea away in the league. Now, with that one game left, we're up to 5th in the league, 2 points behind Swansea. There's a narrative forming here, Liam.
Well, as Rob McElhenney famously says, never give up on anything from Wrexham. And I think a few weeks back, the way results were going, you're like, oh, this is going to peter out a bit here this season. Then all of a sudden, they've just given themselves a shout. And like you say, narrative-wise, there's the potential for something big in that game. I feel like the momentum around the women's team is starting to build up a bit now. I know loads of people who've been going to games recently and saying how good it is to see, and Lily's goal as well was just incredible. I feel like she's really come into her own this season as well. Some of her contributions have been absolutely vital. I think it just sets itself up to be a real blockbuster against what one of the best. We haven't beaten Swansea yet, have we? As well,
no. Swansea just this bogey team.
But it's just one of those. It's just never say never. I think it builds it up so nicely I think there'll be plenty of people watching that game in the hope of getting something. They've given themselves every chance, so all credit.
Yeah, and I think the game next week. Oh no, actually no. It's the one after the Swansea game is a 10. The Swansea in the league game is a 5:10 kickoff. Whereas I believe next week is a standard 2. But yeah, it's a big 2 weeks, a big end to the season here for Steve Dale's team. There's still, because like you said there, Liam, it was at the halfway point when the break at Christmas. You're thinking it wasn't a great start to the season. Can we salvage something? And here we are. Basically 1 game away, 2 points away against the team above us of a top 4 finish, and also facing that team in the cup as well. So yeah, fingers crossed with that. Anything to add on that, Andy, before we crack on?
No, sorry. No, sorry.
No need for the cough as well. Jesus, what was that?
You're
not the doctors now.
It's pulling apart the seams.
Yeah, you're not the doctors. I've not got a handful. What was this? No, again, Andy is we should say, while he's in case his bosses are listening, he's working at the moment, so he's in and out. So
sorry, I know it's really rude. It's just this is the only time we could do it, and it was. I can't get out at work.
And your face is nicely lit up by the screen. I like it. I like the glare. Right, let's switch the attention then from Andy Gilpin and away from me. And it's the Randall Round-Up time. Liam, take it away.
Well, we've got some few exciting bits this week. We've got this is sort of fresh breaking last 24 hours in that Ryan Reynolds has been linked with a move for his hometown MLS team, the Vancouver Whitecaps. I get the impression they've been looking for new ownership for a while, because I can remember pre-Christmas, there was a tweet from the Vancouver Whitecaps account, which was I thought was really weird at the time. It was essentially begging Ryan to go and buy them. I mean, the valuation is pretty damn high, actually. $420 million. We're talking £300 million in our Great British pounds. That valuation took me aback a bit, to be honest, when I saw it. It's not one that he's going to be going there himself and just buying outright. I think it would have to be a part of a consortium if he did. But it made me think. I had a look to see how it compares to Premier League teams, and I think it's something like sort of maybe bottom quarter of the Premier League. But I'm surprised by the fact that there's MLS teams that are that highly valued, just from the perspective that the playing squad's not going to be, of the same value and things. I don't know what you think about that.
I should probably throw in straight away when I think Vancouver Whitecaps. So an ex-Wrexham player went and played for them, Shawnee Pedgick. Come on, Pedge Jr. As for the valuation there, that's nuts. I do remember them coming out and kind of trying to like lure Ryan in, and like, come in, give us a cheeky offer. Come, and it almost, well, it wasn't on the same level, but it was like kind of like, once we had the takeover, you had Chester fans begging Hugh Jackman to come and buy them. It's like, mate, have you seen your stadium? Absolute shithole made out of Lego. Behave. Anyway, yeah, the Vancouver Whitecap stuff. That valuation seems crazy to me. I mean, I don't know what the the sponsorship, what the income streams are over there in MLS, but I can't imagine it being anywhere near, warranting a club being valued at that amount. Because again, the attendances aren't huge. I don't know. It just seems like an absolute
price.
money.
Someone mentioned that ticket prices are higher, and then obviously you've got TV money and things like that. But now, like, I was looking it up, and there's a few MLS teams actually who are pretty damn well valued. So maybe I know it's almost like you're buying a franchise essentially, isn't it? Over there, so it's a bit different, but so that was one thing. Obviously, we also had the fun and frolics of the Super Bowl advert that dropped this week, with Channing Tatum teaching the players how to celebrate stroke dance. I enjoyed it for my part. I know fans of other teams, whatnot, etc. We're never gonna enjoy that, but it's got that sort of typical sort of Ryan Reynolds type of humor to it. To me, so I liked Parky's cameo as well. I'm glad there was a Parky cameo at the end, looking pissed off.
And that was I felt like I was the Phil Parkinson in that, or the Grandpa Simpson old man shouts at clouds sort of thing, where I saw it. This is the one advert we've done, and it's like, and obviously I know it's part of the course. We have to expect these things. That's part of the beast we're involved with. And I saw it the first time. I was like, oh, that's pretty rough. And I'm gonna guess that the Channing Tatum stuff that was kind of pulled a little bit from Magic Mike. Yeah. See, and I mentioned that.
Whoa, that's Step Up. That's got to be Step Up.
Is it?
An absolute.
Well, he's in both, isn't he?
I don't know. Being the old man that I am, I was chatting to somebody in town on Friday about that, because they were asking what I thought about the ad. And I was like, yeah, is it supposed to be that Michael Magic stuff? And they're like, Magic Mike's like, yeah.
Step Up to the streets.
Yeah, they realised
you are a big fan of the Step Up series, though, Andy, aren't you?
I love Step Up 2. I think it's an absolute stone cold classic. Channing Tatum's not in that. I think he's just a cameo near the end, like a ghost or something. I don't know, a Force ghost.
The Force ghost of Channing Tatum in a dance movie. Oh, Liam, please tell me you've got something else for us other than that. That can't be the last thing we talk about in the Randall Round-Up. It's Channing Tatum's a Force.
I've got some stuff for us to rant about. I've got Gareth Ainsworth from Shrewsbury Town saying that it's not fair. It's not fair that Wrexham have got money and I haven't. But isn't it great that Wycombe are doing well, he said, not long before that little rant about us. So it's great that one team's got a billionaire, but not that another team's got millionaires. So I'm struggling with that one a bit. I would say something offensive, but I'm going to stay professional.
Why break the habit of a lifetime? Crack on, get it out there, vent.
I think I called him Wurzel Gummidge in one of my posts, but there's something about when people become associated with Shrewsbury, because before it was like, oh look, it's Gareth Ainsworth, he's a bit of a character, isn't it? And now he's made my list, so yeah, shame for him.
Wow, he's on the Liam Neeson list, literally Liam Randall list. Yeah, it's like taken all over again. I don't know. That's it. It is. I always quite like Gareth Ainsworth, but I think part of it goes back to old championship managers in the 90s. But yeah, so as a player, I always kept an eye on him, which he never quite did what you thought he'd do to enter Wimbledon, and that didn't really work out. But yeah, as a manager, I always quite like him because he's different. He's not your cookie cutter manager. Obviously, like just appearance wise, the hair, the leather jackets, the fact that he goes out and loves rock music. It's like I like that. And then now he's Shrewsbury manager and making strange comments. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll give him that one for free. It's like that one. Okay, I still think you're all right. Any more, then all right. I might have to reevaluate my opinion on Gareth Ainsworth. Anything else?
No, that's your lot. Andy's shaking his head vigorously because he's got lots of work to do.
that's this up, lads. To be honest,
that's the head shaker. We were supposed to do this. It's only gonna be half an hour. I've got loads of work to do. Let's get this wrapped up. Right. Okay. We'll come to you, Andy, quickly. Predictions, because we've got obviously Bolton on Tuesday, the Vertu Trophy. We've got Northampton.
Shock game. I didn't know this game was coming. You'd be telling me there's one next Tuesday now.
Yeah, and then Northampton away on Saturday, which is the 12:30 kickoff.
I'm in the posh seats for that.
Northampton have posh seats.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I'm part of the sponsorship team, and they've offered me a tour of Six Fields before the match.
Are you sitting with Alan Carr's dad, Graham Carr? He's big around those parts.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, and Franz Carr. I can't think of anyone else with the surname Carr that we can say on
Stephen Carr, ex-Tottenham right back.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So that'll be fun for me. But right, Tuesday. You know what? I think he'll play a very similar team. I think he'll probably have more firepower on the bench because I do think he'll probably will like the idea of another Wembley trip. So I think we'll win it. I think it will be tough. I think we'll win 2-1.
Liam?
I'm going to stick with what I've done for every round of this trophy, which is to predict that we'll draw 2-2 and then we'll win on penalties. It's worked for me so far, not necessarily from the perspective it's gone to penalties, but we've progressed through. So from a purely superstitious perspective, I'll stick to that.
I was going to say I'm going to go 3-0, but I'm going to be different. I've had 2 weeks off the pod, so I'm a changed man now. I'm going to go with the classic 2-1, I think, to the Town. Yeah, I mean, they're no mugs. They're 7th in the league at the moment. And also, the other side of that is they're probably going to, you'd imagine they won't play their first strength team, but their full strength team. Likewise, we won't do the same. But I'd imagine we might give some minutes to players with a view for the weekend as well, because at the weekend it is Northampton away. A place we have very special memories at, 1993, stealing the promotion there, 2-0 win with Gary Bennett scoring a couple to get us promoted to what is now League One, to the league we're in now. So, Liam, to come back to you, Northampton prediction?
I was going to go for 1-1, but you know what? I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to say our new strikers kicking into gear. Going to win 2-1. Goals from Elliot Lee and Sam Smith.
Oh, we're getting actually score predictions now as well. Bold. I like it. I mean, Northampton, they are 17th in the league. It's worth pointing out. So not been a great season, but you also can't look at like the elephant in the room of our away form is horrendous. So it kind of balances out. Andy, Mr. Posh seats over there at the weekend. What's going to be happening at Northampton?
Well, while I'm eating a prawn sandwich, I think I will preside over a narrow win for us. And I think the last couple of results have been really impressive for Northampton. And I think that's just given them enough to move away from the relegation area. So I think we'll be a very attritional Phil Parkinson away victory. We don't get many of them, and they often come with me biting all my fingernails off, but I think we can do it. We've got to go away to teams like this and win if we're going to get promoted. It's as simple as that. So I think we will do it. And I think, like Liam, I think Sam Smith might have a good game.
Score prediction?
1-0.
Oh, there we go. That's what I was getting for. That was a question. What's the score going to be? Well, this. Look at him saying all these nice things about Northampton. Now he's in the posh VIP hospitality suite. Yeah, seats. Yeah. Me, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win away at Northampton. I've got a feeling. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. So yeah, we'll be all right. We'll be okay. Faith in the Town. Right, this has been the latest episode of the Fearless and Devotion podcast. Of course, go and check out our sponsors, the Fat Boy Mold and Wrexham, Hill Street Social, the My Squin Hall, Effie's Carnivore, the Bucking Banger, and the Christ Howell. I'm Andrew Pollard, Andrew Gilpin, Andy Gilpin, Liam Randall.
And Mark Creighton's coming up.
And Mark Creighton is coming up, which I nearly forgot about. Go on the Beast. Go on the Beast. Yes, stick around for Beast.
See you guys.
Go Birds.
Go Chiefs.
Fearless in devotion, rising to promotion, to the ranks of my
Right, anyway, guest number 3, technically, I suppose. Sometimes you get a player who becomes a cult figure in a very short space of time. It helps if you have a catchy nickname, of course, a never say die outlook, a sleeve full of tattoos, and a forehead that would comfortably twat concrete. His words.
And has.
This fella came through professional football the hard way. He came up via non-league, becoming a popular figure wherever he played. He later went into coaching and became a prominent businessman in the town. He even gave Andy this tattoo. What is it?
Show the other one.
It's a tattoo of Michael Williamson, by the way.
The other one just says wow.
Oh, yeah.
So even though Andy's mum hates that tattoo and Mark for giving him to it, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark the Beast Creighton. Mark, let's go straight to the game first and foremost. Yesterday, you were there. Why can't we play like we did in the second half all the time?
I know. You need Phil Parkinson for that, don't you? It's not my remit.
You Phil Parkinson for this very question. Carry on.
I think games like last night are very, very, very easy to get up for as a player. Not that you shouldn't be up for every single game that you're playing. You clearly should be. But what a reaction from the Shrewsbury performance! I thought to a man last night. I thought everyone was pretty goddamn mustard, and ultimately we probably should have nicked it. They were on the ropes for the last sort of 25 minutes, which was great to see, even though my dad, God rest his soul, up there he'd be absolutely fuming because he's a blue nose, or was a blue nose, and that was my team as a boy growing up. You know, I was at St Andrews, almost every other weekend. I went to Wembley and watched the Blues, but I'm red now, so actually why have I got a blue microphone?
Yeah. Swap.
It's appalling.
Why have I got a Chester-coloured microphone? I got a Blackpool-coloured microphone. That's fine, just the same. That wasn't scripted. That was weird, wasn't it? Yeah, so in terms of the game, we saw some players last night, grit, determination, hard work, desire. None other than the goal scorer, Ollie Rathbone. Can he and George Dobson, can they play together? Are they that engine room going forward? Because obviously George has come back into the side.
For me, 100%. I love Ollie. I think he's been brilliant. He's waited his chance and he's took it by the scruff of the neck. But I love George Dobson as well, mate. He's Jay Harris Mark II for me. And I used to love playing in the team with Jay Harris.
Without the bookings.
Without the bookings. Yeah, I mean, Jay probably wouldn't spend much time on the pitch these days. But just, I see George sprinting after a ball and he's gritting his teeth like he's going to bite their face off when he's going to get there. And that's what I was playing for Wrexham is, or playing for any club you should play for. You should have that desire and determination to actually do whatever it takes to win a football game. And I see it in them two in abundance. And that's where I guess I look at myself. When you look back to my days as a player, I wasn't gifted. I wasn't a technically great footballer. What are you nodding your head for? I just saw a profound. Yeah. You were shit. Yeah.
20 quid celebrity boxing match next week. It's all in.
That would be over after 20 seconds.
No, it's okay because it's true. But I would roll my sleeves up and have a right go. And I think
unlike me.
Yeah, correct. Because you got that tattoos, you want to keep it covered.
I cried like a baby.
Yeah. So I see my sort of desire in those two players, and I think we've lacked that at times. Sometimes it went a bit flat. Last night for me, after about 35 minutes, it went a bit dead, a bit flat. You needed somebody to just lift somebody. Go and absolutely scythe through somebody, and it gets the crowd up, it gets you lifted. And by the way, we came out after half time, and that's what happened. And then suddenly we've got the wind in our sails and we literally peg them back. They had, half a chance when they flashed the ball across the box. That was it. In 45 minutes against a top team, by the way, who are probably going to go on and possibly win it. That's some achievement, by the way, because 2 years ago we were in National League. So we've earned the right to be where we are, right?
Mark, I know what you mean. Like, second half, we were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. First half, we went ahead,
And then there was a couple of set pieces where I thought, oh, we could defend these better. If only we had a Mark Creighton in the middle to head that away. I mean, did any of that set piece defending concern you at all? What can we do about it?
Listen, you could see their gaffer was barking his instruction early doors on the very first one they got. And I looked at it, what they were doing. It was pretty obvious. It always is when you're in the stand. It's easier to see it from there. But they were working a block, and they worked a block on Dan's guy. They did it twice, got him twice, and on the third time he was that conscious of it that he almost lost all ability to mark anybody. And that's when he lost his man and he's headed it, and it's gone through a scruffy, few players in the box, and it's ended up in the back of the net. It's very difficult for a centre half to come in that hasn't played and go right into the middle of a back three in a game like that. So you have to give him a little bit of slack, and they literally, they did single him out for the block. They did it twice, like I say, so it kind of caught him. But he grew into the game, and he actually did all right in the end. And I thought defensively we were excellent second half, certainly. So for me, yes, you can improve on that. You just got to have a little bit of nous about you. And Dan's still a relatively young centre half. He's come through the hard way. He came through the same clubs that I did back in Birmingham, to a degree. So he's still relatively young as a centre half. So he's learning all the time, and hopefully he doesn't get caught out like that again. But what I wanted to see last night was somebody go and get the ref and say, listen, they're clearly blocking us here. You've only got to make him aware of it, and then he blows for the next one. So just that little bit of nous, really. To go and nip that in the bud early doors. But listen, it is what it is. Would you have taken a point before the game? Yes, absolutely. I did an interview before the game and I said we were going to get absolutely shafted. So I was completely wrong. Apologies, but I saw off the back of the Shrewsbury performance, I thought, are we going to be rabbits in headlights tonight a little bit? Is there too much pressure? But listen, I'm well happy to be proven wrong.
Right. You know what it's like to face down a top in-form striker. Are you surprised at Mullins' form this season? And does he need to stay on his feet a little bit more?
I'm not surprised it's taken him so long to get going. If I'm honest, I go back to times are different now. When I played, I was very lucky until I got very, very injured to play almost every minute of every game every season. So at the end of the season, I was well on the cider in Lanzarote for 6 weeks. I would come back and Dean Forde would say, "Fucking hell, Creighton, you put some timber on that." And I'd be like, "Yeah." I said, but Gaffer, come and have a look in 2 weeks when I've done a bit of running and that. And I always really let myself go in the summer because my body was saying, "You've done enough. Go and chill out, eat some kebabs and stuff like that." I used to do that all the time anyway, but not just in the summer.
Great impression, by the way. It's a great impression.
I always needed, even with a full pre-season behind your belt, there's nothing that replicates a league game for the intensity and the pace of that. I always felt like I needed 5 full 90-minute games until I felt like I was fully at it. So he's got injured, he's had an op, he's missed pre-season, he's then trying to play catch-up with the lads who are already fully going. There's no real resi games, so there's no way he can really go and get some minutes in that. And even if he can, it's not the same intensity. If you've seen one reserve game, you've seen a million. You have it, we have it, you have it. There's nothing in it. They're rubbish. So it's very difficult for a player of Paul's standard to get up to the speed. And listen, we're not in the National League now where he can probably just turn it on and put one in the top bin easy. You're playing against top players who you've got to have that cutting edge. And I think give him a full pre-season, give him games. So I think this year he's probably he's gonna be a bit part as he is a little bit now. He's not really gonna suddenly, unless we get injuries and he finds his way in the team and he is playing and regular, he might get back up to speed. I can't see that happening. I think he needs a run of games. I even said something really controversial that does he need a month out on loan, and I got shot down. So I won't mention that. But when you want to get someone that good up to speed that quick that you just pull him back after a month and go, right, now he's ready. And now he then goes and wins games for us, because that's what I think we've missed as well. We've missed that match winner. And he's been that for a long period of time for us. Mike, are you listening? He's gone. He's there. Yeah. Fantastic. So, but ultimately, he needs a bit of. Imagine the pressure. Oh, fantastic! Imagine.
You're going to get us into trouble, you.
Michael, you need to stay for question 7.
But can you imagine the pressures that are on Paul's shoulders as well? Can you imagine that?
Massive.
Huge pressure, because he's carried the weight of this town for 2 years, and that's expected again for a 3rd year and a 4th year, and that won't go away. So does he need someone else to step up? I mean, Stephen Fletcher's done his best that he can, bless him. But somebody else has got to take that mantle for a little bit and help him out, because we can't just keep relying on him.
Talking about things like away performances and expectations, we keep getting promoted under Phil Parkinson. We're in 3rd at the minute. What's your take on the away performances?
It's very hard to talk about it, really, unless you've seen how we prepare. I doubt we prepare any different than we probably do for a home game, other than, do you get a bus down the night before and stay down? Depends on the geography of who you're playing. But ultimately, the same principles apply. We have a huge advantage when we play here, because the old classic 12th man, we have a 14th and 15th man. No two ways about it. Whenever last night it was a cauldron, so as a player to walk out in that, you already feel like you beat them. You're already winning to a degree. But I don't know. Has it slipped into the mindset? That we are. Or do we expect to get beat away from home, or do we? Are we going out there to try and nick a draw? Again, goals win games. I think we've been fairly good defensively this season. Probably, again, just not scoring enough goals, and you have to go away from home. To win games, you've got to score goals. Simple as that. And I just don't think we do that enough. Here, the ball gets sucked into the net. But it's harder to do that away from home, ultimately. And we spoke about the training ground earlier. I personally think that could be a big issue. That if Brian Flynn's the man to ask, an absolute footballing hero and legend, but a manager who would have that mindset of, okay, I've got to plan my week to get my boys out there on Saturday in the best shape they can possibly be. All right, imagine phoning up your facility Thursday night. Right, I need the training ground 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I need it for an hour. Now, I'm really sorry, you can't have that. We've got someone else on there, but you can have it at 12. Suddenly that might throw you out. I'm making this up, but I could be making it up. But if you haven't got that facility, you can't manage your week, potentially can't manage your week as best as you want to. Maybe that's something that comes into play. Possibly, I don't know. You'd probably have to ask Phil Parkinson.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing what Michael was doing in sort of going ahead on questions, so this is really
Sorry.
good. No, this is a good thing. You're interviewing yourself. So things like a training ground situation, do you think it limits in any way who we can bring in, and do you need every little marginal gain you can get in those situations?
I agree with Mike, and Mike alluded to it perfectly. I think as a player, when we were in the National League and even League Two, our financial firepower and the documentary and everything's going on, the owners and the way we were going is attractive. You're going to bring players to this club partly for that reason. Let's not lie about that. But as you go up the levels, and we're competing against your Birminghams, your Huddersfields, your Wickhams, and the finance is almost parity, then you're looking at other things. Okay, well, what else is there? Yeah, there's a documentary, that's nice, there's cameras, but also there's cameras there, because the big clubs always attract attention. So one of the things then, as a player, you're going to absolutely look at is, what are the facilities like? What is my day-to-day going to look like at this club? Because that's important, because they don't sign 12-month agreements anymore. It's long-term. I'm going to be coming to this club and I want to know what it looks like. So I think that can and probably has had implications. And certainly will do the higher we go up. Again, putting my players hat on. This happened when I was first team coach under Gary Mills when we were in the National League. We would turn up at the racecourse. The boys would get changed. They would have their physio treatments, do the strap-ins, whatever they needed to get ready for the training. They would jump in the car. They would drive to Lex at the time. Get out your car, train, get caked in mud. Get back in your car, caked in mud. Drive back to the ground because there's no shower facilities there. All these things, eventually, they might not affect you initially. You might just go, it's all right, but it can grind your bones eventually. And also things like, again, going back to the manager and looking after his players. If you're down on a training facility that is not your base and one of your players gets injured, what do? Because they've then got to shove them back in a car and take them somewhere else to get treatment. That might not be the appropriate thing to do in that circumstance. So all these things can make a difference, and it's nice to hear that we're looking at that. Obviously, there's things that are coming before that. Would I have done that first? Yes. I don't think we should have ever sold Collier's Park, by the way. Certainly for the money that we did. But you know, it's gone. It's happened. For me, that would be one of the things that I would have put right at the beginning, if I'm honest.
You mentioned Gary Mills. I kind of want to have a Gary Mills story.
Gary Mills?
Yeah, but it's completely off script, but I need to have a Gary Mills story.
Okay.
You've got plenty. Give us the best one.
Oh, God.
I like the fact you nearly took a swig of beer then, but then then put it down.
And then I casually put it down. There's your story.
Elaborate on the story.
No, I think, I guess we all knew it was the secret that wasn't very secret, that he liked to take the boys out for a beer before away games and things like that.
The night before an away game.
Yeah, but there's a better one. There's a better one. So he did, that was regular. And sausage butties like after training on a Friday, and chips, and a game of darts. But anyway, the best one was, so a good mate of mine was a lad called Adam Bartlett. Do you remember Barts? You fans gave him some right stick at Kiddie the one day. Do you remember when somebody threw a pie at him?
Probably deserved it. It was
a kiddie pie?
Not a kiddie pie.
Yeah,
no. You don't throw a kiddie pie.
No, not the cottage pie.
Oh, okay,
all
right, okay.
A pucker.
A
pucker pie.
That's fair.
So Adam, he was at Gateshead at the time, Mills was, and Barts he was at York, but the Gateshead keeper got injured right before their trip to Wembley, playoff final. So he loaned Barts from York for that very game. And they went out the night before the final on the Guinness. You have to drink. Good, isn't it?
That was his orders.
Yeah, you have to drink. At least 2.
Did they win?
No.
How
Honestly,
long did he have in charge of us?
So yeah, is that good enough for you?
Yeah, solid. Good old Millsy.
The most important game ever.
Likes a pint and a pickled egg.
There we are.
In terms of the transfer window, obviously one in today. Ryan Longman's come in. Where else would you look to strengthen, or is that very obvious?
I think we need a meathead centre half who can win corners.
Really? With a dodgy knee?
Yeah, with a really bad knee. Get your checkbook out, Mike. It's going to cost you a few quid.
He's yours for 2 Guinness. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no, kebab. I mentioned kebab earlier. Rich sells them here, doesn't he, I think?
It does, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we've got one in. I mean, how many more do you think we need? Because there's no guarantees that... I mean, you'd like to think if we don't go up this year, we're going to be in the mix next year. But for where we are, you have to seize the day, surely.
I had this conversation with Liam earlier, and I still have people that hold grudges against me when I said you got to speculate to accumulate, so be careful.
We're getting to that.
Sound like Humphrey.
Yeah, so...
It's so annoying that Barry's not here, because...
Yeah, no, you have got to seize the day, and fair play to Phil and his boys and his backroom staff. They have put us in a position that I didn't think we would be in. Okay, so we're going into a difficult spell now. February is pretty much away games galore. I go back to the Paul Mullin point. I think we need somebody to come in and take some heat off them boys up the top. We have to start scoring goals because this is critical. What happens in February now, I think, defines the rest of our season, because you can either go and blow it. Listen, no, that's wrong. I don't think we'll blow it, because I think we will end up in the playoffs regardless. But I think whenever you go into a playoff scenario, you want momentum going into it, because if you don't have that, then it spells trouble. From previous experience, I know what that looks like. All right.
Sympathetic crowd.
Honestly. Jesus. What? Yes, as I was saying, I think we need another striker, Mike. No, I think Phil has built a really, really strong squad, a really deep squad of good footballers. You look at the bench, some of the players we can bring on there, they're talented boys. But I think and it's very obvious, we've lacked scoring goals this season. I think we've been pretty good defensively. It's putting the ball in the onion bag, as they say. That's what's been letting us down to a degree.
So, Mark, I mean, you did a bit assistant manager. You were a first team coach. You know what it's like to bring a player in. How difficult is that now in the modern era? You have to deal with agents. You have to deal with a lot of sort of things behind the scenes. Because we all sort of think, well, we've got money. Let's just go out and buy 2 strikers. It must be easy. Yeah. Is it easy?
No. 2 strikers.
No, it's not easy, because if it was, everyone would do it. And that's why managers come and go very, very quickly, and we're lucky to have Phil, and we've had him for a long time, and that's testament to what Mike said about him previously. And I said it was a really nice thing to say out the back, and you can tell he genuinely believes it. Phil is a very, very, very good manager, and he gets the best out of people. He knows people's characters, and he will bring the right people to this club. So no, it's not easy. Those are skills that you can't teach somebody. I don't think you can teach you. You either got that in you or you haven't. And obviously he clearly has. And the best managers who have sustained the period of time, they do have that ability to pick a good character and go through that process of speaking to an agent who probably does your tits in, who's asking for the world. You've got to navigate that carefully, because and I think I'm probably right, Mike, there isn't a bottomless pit of money to just keep throwing at everything, given everything else that we're trying to achieve off the field as well. You can't just go and throw money at everything. We've seen it years on years. It doesn't always work. Clubs have tried that route. Doesn't necessarily work, especially when you say you've got a squad full of players who are on $5,000 plus a week, and some of them players have been used to playing week in, week out, been top boys at every club they've been at. Suddenly now they're sat in the stand because they're not even in the squad. How do you manage that as a manager? All the fallout, the spitting the toys out of the pram and all that sort of stuff. That's where your best managers step into their lane and they manage that whole process. So to answer your question, it's very, very, very difficult, especially with the demands these days.
It's not the answer I wanted, really. This is another downer.
Tough crowd.
I'm making it a tough crowd. Right. Say Wrexham don't get automatic, it's the playoffs. What does a team need to get through them? And will the away form transmit itself to Wembley? Now, I say, what does a team need to get through the playoffs? I'm not really asking the right person here.
Probably the wrong person.
Celebrity Deathmatch Part 2.
You forgot that I won promotion through Wembley with Oxford United, right?
No, it's seared onto my mind. Absolutely seared onto my mind.
In front of 37,000 Oxford United fans. All screaming beast, yeah?
He's burnt you big time.
Yeah. It's a lottery. It's a lottery. I always felt like you had to do well in your first game, sort of semi-final stage. Win your first game, or at least draw it, especially if it's away from home, sets you up nicely for the second leg. I always like to play the second leg at home, especially if you put yourself in a good position. But it really is a lottery. You can have injuries at the time. You can have suspensions. You can have, people have an off day. People get literally, caught in rabbit in a headlight. It happens. Fortunately, we do have a more experienced, a more settled squad now. So you'd like to think we'd be able to cope with the pressures and this club, one of the things this club has now, more than it ever has had, because it's always been a pressurised club to play for because of the expectation, but because of the documentary, because of the owners, because of everything that goes on at this football club now, that's trebled overnight. So the expectation is huge. For the players to have already handled that expectation for 2 years, minimum, you would like to think that they would go into a playoff situation cool as a cucumber. We won't, as fans. But you hope that they do. I think we would do all right in a playoff scenario. We always seem to come good when the game's a pressurised game, except when it's Shrewsbury. So let's hope we don't get Shrewsbury.
We're not going to get Shrewsbury.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, we're skipping questions, are we? Okay, yeah. Youth system. It's another big one. It's been the lifeblood of the club for so long. Your boy is in the youth system. Tell us a bit about him and how you see the general youth setup as it currently stands.
Well, first and foremost, I was lucky enough to be at the club when we've produced some real talent. And I'm not just talking about your Danny Wards and your Bradley Reeds and your Robbie Evans. A lot of those players who didn't make it to the sort of English Football League levels have gone on and had great careers in the Welsh Premier League. I always used to remember watching the youth team lads train when we had finished, and you'd watch them, you'd think, blimey, we've got some good players, some real talent. And again, testament to the club at the time, because I think even when Jeff and Ian were owners of the club, that's what I was waiting for. I believe it was the supporters who funded the academy at the time because they didn't want to or didn't have the funds to do that. So again, it was all to do with fundraising, and again, the same people put their hands in the pockets, the fans, to keep that system going. So to keep producing those players on a shoestring, an absolute shoestring, volunteers, coaches, to keep having that conveyor belt of such good talent was phenomenal, really, and obviously I saw that firsthand. So now to have the opportunity to see that continue, but this time without having to sell, is awesome. And what makes me even prouder is that my boy's involved in that now, almost to the point of like it was as good as me putting the shirt on myself when I first saw him put it on. So there was tears in the eyes and everything as a dad. So that was a real nice moment.
Can he play as a striker?
You got $5,000 a week? No. He's a little bit like me when I was his sort of age. He's very tall. He's powerful. I wasn't quick, so I don't know where I was going with that. But he is quick. He's very athletic. I'm his dad, I would say this. What he has is the uncoachable attributes. So it's that size, that dominance, that power. Technically, he's behind a little bit, but that's because he was sort of playing grassroots at Bala Academy, where, no disrespect to Bala Academy, the system isn't the same. The coaching standard wasn't the same, and he was there for probably a little bit too long. But now, he's been at the academy now probably 18 months. And he's come on leaps and bounds, and I'm told they love him. He's very coachable. He's well mannered. He listens. He wants to be better. He knows he can be better. So it's a real honour that he's part of the 13 setup, and he signed a 2-year deal as well. So really proud.
So his name is? Who are we looking out for? We haven't told him his name yet.
Yeah, it's Kai. Yeah, Kai, Mini Beast.
Mini Beast. There's the nickname. No pressure.
Yeah,
no pressure. I mean, you've kind of alluded to it, but I mean, what's actually needed for like a regular production line for these players to come through? I know you'll say you'll pass it off to Flinny, and we'll probably talk to him about the same thing. But we've seen the likes of Max, who's literally one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, I fanboy Max all the time.
Oh, just you're gonna get, you know what you're gonna get, which is consistency.
Yeah.
So, what do we need to put into play to make sure that we're getting 3, 4, 5 players that can come through and really break into this team, regardless of the level we're going to be at?
I need to be a little bit careful because the boss is in the room. And to be fair to Mike, I know one of the things that I really liked about what Mike said actually was they are open to criticism, they are open to change, and they're open to being better. Because one of the things I think where we have struggled, certainly 18 months ago when I saw the academy, and obviously that journey to Cat 3 was a big one, by the way. It's no mean feat. But we were miles behind. I don't want to be too critical, but I lived the journey as a dad. I tried to pull myself away as a player. I don't get involved in any of it. I don't ever want to do that. This is Kai's journey, but as a dad, at times I was concerned. Mainly, the biggest problem we had was I think we started too late with the facility problem. And what that led to then was boys got to the end of their season. Dates are going to be a bit hazy, but around May time. They were told whether they were going to be kept on or not, on the provision that we achieved Cat 3 or not. If we didn't, no. If we do, yes. So okay, so there's that carrot there. But for me then, that point onwards was too long. You had young boys that have never had more of a burning desire to come through our system and be a part of this journey because of the club now. That are sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, waiting for a phone to ring, waiting for an email to come through to say what is happening. And I think that the deathly silence was horrible for the kids, to the point of some kids were like, do I go and trial elsewhere? Do I not? Am I making a mistake? And by the time that some of this came round, the other clubs had satisfied their squads. There was no more spaces. So it was kind of like, okay, well, if this doesn't come off, what do I do? I've got to go grassroots again. So it was, I watched it in my boy, but more so in some of the other boys. I saw it where Kai's lucky I've trod the path. I sort of can team up to kind of deal with these ups and downs of football and not to expect too much and kind of temper his expectations to a degree. I didn't want to put his flame out, but I had to be mindful that this boy could be pretty hurt if this doesn't come off. And some of the other parents don't have that privilege. That obviously I went through that, and I'm not going to interrupt and get involved in someone else's kid. But even to the point of, I did email the club at one point and said, I think you need to say something at least, because there's a lot of unrest around the parents and this, that and the other. And naturally, a lot of the parents would come to me, do you know anything, Mark? And I'm like, no, I don't get involved in it. I don't want to. I don't want that burden. To the point where I just thought, I've got to email the club and say, look, we need some sort of... it wasn't taken very well, if I'm honest. I don't know whether he felt like I was getting involved too much, and I wasn't. I did it from the bottom of my heart, out of a dad concerned about his boy and all the other boys that were there. Eventually, it worked out. But I always think, what if it didn't? It would have been disaster. We talk about welfare and safeguarding. That comes into that. We have to protect these young boys from, what can be a disaster. And there will be a time when they will feel some pain in football. It's guaranteed. It's never all that way. There is a lot of that way as well. But at that age, it can shape them. So that was a big concern. Seems like we've kind of got a grip of it now a little bit. There are still things that I think can be better. I mean, for example, the season started for them in August. Started in July, sorry. We didn't even start training till mid-August. So you're already a month and a half behind from training. Then they start playing the games. They're getting dicked every week because they're not fit. They haven't trained together. They didn't know their coaches. They've only just found out before Christmas who their actual coach is. So we're still a little bit far behind. But obviously the bones of the club are there and the structure is hopefully coming. So if we can get that right, I want to see players come through. And like Mike said, you want to start an 11 of, he's one of our own. That's what we all want to sing. And that's what we all hope we can sing. So it's important. I try not to be too critical, but I think any good business, and the club is a business, has to be accepting that you're not going to get it all right all the time. I think we were too slow out the blocks with the academy, and it nearly cost us massively. And there's no reason now moving forward that we shouldn't lose any players in North Wales to an Everton, to a Liverpool, to a Man United. They should be here. And they come through our system.
Right, Andy's stitched me up here because he's given me this speculate to accumulate question.
I thought Barry Horn was going to be here. I really did. I thought that would make it much more needle.
So someone famously said Wrexham needs to speculate to accumulate. I don't know who that was. Andy, can you help us?
Oh, he's already said it once.
It was me. I stand by it. I still do. Because you mentioned it before, Tim. It's like, do you go for it? And at the time...
But sorry, just to cut across, I'm sorry to do it, but do you think we need to do this again now we're trying to go to the Championship? It's the same question again.
Yeah,
do we need to speculate?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, it's a bit different now. We're not... I think we do have the finances. It's not really speculation. It's not going to kill us if we get it wrong. Where we were at the time that I said it, I understand why the fans thought, that's a bit off, because the fans had just, put their deeds on the line to save the football club. So it was a little bit... I can see why they were a bit irked by it, but they didn't understand the detail in what I was saying. We had put ourselves in a position where we were looking good for promotion. We were lacking in goals at that time. Danny Wright, I think, had maybe done his shoulder again or his elbow, and Spatey had come off a bit of form, so wasn't hitting the net like he was. And I said, in the press, we need to go out there and get a Matt Green, a Jack Midson, a James Constable. He probably wouldn't have got James Constable at the time, but a player that is going to come in...
A Christian Jolly.
A Christian Jolly is another one that come in and score some goals for you, because that would have got us over the line, because Jamie Vardy was the only difference that season. So for me, I'm thinking, this is our chance. Now, I know money is tight. We have a budget, but from what I was told, we had a salary cap per player. Now, my point was, you cannot get a Matt Green or a Christian Jolly for, I'm going to say, £1,000 a week. They'll just go, no. £1,200 a week, okay, put a goal bonus on that, I might fancy it. Suddenly, you've spent an extra 200 quid than you wanted to, but why not take that from another part of your financial pot and go and loan a Danny Alfie from Swansea to make up, that loss, or ship one of your other players out who's not getting some games and recoup the money that way. That was the thing, was break the salary cap to get the player you need, but you're not overspending. But that didn't come across. So there you go. Does that answer your question? Again, for the 12th time.
This is an easy one.
Yeah, well, you keep skipping questions, but you never inform me. Anyway, let's kind of towards wrapping up now. Go out on a limb. Tell me first to fourth at the end of the season.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The villain, boo. Sorry.
Is it heart or head?
Heart.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I do think Birmingham will win it.
Yeah.
My heart says we come second. My heart says we come second. My heart and my head are fighting. My head says third. Right. We just miss out. Okay. And then obviously I think it's a Wickham.
Huddersfield in the mix as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends. Honestly, I think February's massive for us. I think it's massive because I think if we come through it and do well, I think we do nick second, and then it is Wickham, Huddersfield, and I don't care where they finish after that.
Right. Before I bring Andy in to do the quick fire roundup, just the final thing from me: if, like you said, we finish third, okay, we miss out on automatics. We've all been playoff final. We've all felt the pain of those defeats. What does it really take to win a playoff final? As you've alluded to, you've been there and done it. So what does it take? Is it just a mentality, or is it what you said before, which is about momentum going into it?
A lot of it is mentality and being brave enough to do what you've done all season that's worked. It is literally that, and not come off your script, because it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of it. I mean, I remember the first time I played at Wembley, it come off the back of I played every minute of every game. My first professional season at Kidderminster. It was the first competitive game at the new Wembley Stadium, and I had such a good season that year, but I was dog turd at Wembley. Dog turd. Because I was just like, oh my God, I used to play at Redditch United on like a park pitch. And now suddenly I'm here in front of 58,000, I think was there on the day. I'm going, I don't know how to play in this place. And it literally threw me, completely threw me. But what that did the second time I went with Oxford, it didn't bother me. I knew how to play. I knew how to handle that scenario. And I think the good thing about our boys is they play in front of a big, noisy crowd week in, week out. And everybody wants us to lose. Ultimately, we've almost got that little thing on our back now where everybody hates us and it's, Wrexham this, Wrexham that. Great, because it sets us up to be men and walk out hopefully not at Wembley. Hopefully we can walk out there and and be watching it as fans for somebody else to lose out. But if we do have to walk out there, you can throw your shoulders back and think, I'm just going to do exactly what I've done all season.
Right, last bit, quick fire. First player that comes into your head for these questions during your time at Wrexham as both player and behind the scenes, who's the most skillful?
Most skillful?
Yeah.
Ooh, Glenn Little.
Yeah.
I like that.
Also ugliest.
Oh. What do you think about that, Liam?
Can't have everything.
That's disgraceful.
Can't have everything.
How dare you?
This might be Glenn Little. Who's the worst dressed?
Matthias Pogba.
Describe an outfit. Give us an idea.
One of his brother's Man United tops that's way too small for him, combined with some tracksuit bottoms that are way too small as well, pulled up quite high, crusty, horrible socks, dipping jam on toast in milk. How's that?
Too much.
You won't get that in jail.
Jesus Christ.
Who's the biggest moaner?
Neil Ashton.
Oh, yeah.
All day long.
Yeah, okay.
What a whinge
Clean
bag.
sweep.
Yeah.
Who was the most underrated?
Joe Clark.
I'll take
Joe
that.
Clark.
And this is a strange one for you. Who would you least like to fight?
Oh, Jay Harris.
Yeah.
He'd scratch you, everything. He'd be after your eyeballs the lot.
Did you ever fight anybody in training? Did you ever scrap anybody?
Nah.
No? You sure?
Nah, boring, innit?
Yeah. Who's the toughest player you came up against? Like horrible, where you think, fucking hell, this guy's stronger than me?
I remember a clash of heads with Jason Lee once. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a little bit. Didn't show it though, but it did hurt. I'll tell you what was used to give me a real tough game. Not because he was fairly physical, but Steve Morrison.
Oh yeah.
Right,
He was a tough opponent for me because he'd either shoot from range or he'd get in the box and score tap-ins. He was good in the air. He was fairly quick. He was strong. So I couldn't just bully him because he would just get back up and carry on. So he was always probably one of the toughest lads I played against. That and Raheem Sterling, my first game back from when I'd done my knee, in a friendly against Liverpool that Joey Jones arranged. I thought, I know, I'll put Creighton in there against Raheem. I'm like, are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? It was 0-0 at half time. I was buzzing.
What was the final score?
He tore me a new arsehole second half. I think it finished 7-1. Yeah. I was tired. It was my first game back.
You won the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, correct.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Mark, the Beast Creighton, thank you so much.
Mighty champions, raise your voices to the anthem, marching like a mighty